Good evening, GSK friends, and thank you for joining us. I'm Frank Graff, science producer at PBS North Carolina, and welcome to the new set for the new season of Sci-NC. Public hasn't seen this yet. There's still a few tweaks to make. If you think working from home during a pandemic is a challenge, building a set and launching a television show is a big challenge as well. You know, we have made some changes to our science project through the years, like a new set. But the one constant has been you, GSK. You helped us launch the project years ago, you've helped us expand it, and you have supported us through the years. And all of us at PBS North Carolina are so thankful for that. More on that in just a couple of minutes, but right now, I want to welcome Jamie Millar, the Vice President of Managed Markets and Government Affairs for GSK.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Millar, Senior VP, GSK for Managed Markets and Government Affairs. I'd like to welcome my GSK colleagues and your families to this special event. My family and I also reside here in North Carolina, and over the years, we've come to enjoy and value the original programming produced by UNC TV. Tonight, we'll enjoy a preview of the new program called Sci-NC, which will premiere to the general public in May. GSK supports STEM education in the communities where our employees live and work. As chair of GSK's U.S. Contributions Committee, I'm so proud to tell you that GSK has made a charitable investment of $400,000 to support the UNC Center for Public Media's Science Project. The Science Project encourages North Carolinians to become knowledgeable science citizens by producing and distributing engaging and educational STEM content, including the signature program Sci-NC, on air, online, and in person. The project aims to inspire and educate the next generation of scientists with originally produced, interactive, hands-on free digital lessons and plans aligned to elementary and middle school science standards. The lesson plans will be available through the UNC TV website and PBS Learning Media. We expect the program will reach over 175,000 students. Later this evening, you'll meet Erica Henderson, Director of U.S. Community Partnerships. Erica's team manages GSK's community investments. I want to thank everyone at UNC TV for your partnership and for your commitment to enriching STEM education in our region. Now, grab some snacks, put up your feet, and enjoy the preview.
Thanks, Jamie. All right, let's get started on the preview. So here are two stories from the new season of Sci-NC. The first is groundhog science. Turns out that groundhogs, like Punxsutawney Phil, are not only good at predicting the weather, they are medical marvels, and researchers are trying to unlock those secrets because what groundhogs do would be a huge help to people. The second story, you're going to meet North Carolina's newest salamander. Meet the woodchuck, otherwise known as the groundhog.
So it depends on where you live. Woodchuck and groundhog are two different names for the same species. And the species is Marmota monax.
And Dr. Brett Woods loves groundhogs, or woodchucks.
Don't just say that, oh, they're cute. They are very cute. They are, as animals go, they are some of the, they're practically teddy bears walking around doing cool things. Yeah.
And by the way, woodchucks, or groundhogs, are pretty well known. There's that pseudo-holiday centered on groundhog shadows and weather forecasting. There's that movie centered around that weather forecasting holiday. There's also a rhyme.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
If a woodchuck
could chuck wood.
And a commercial about that rhyme.
Hey, you dang woodchucks! Quit chucking my wood!
But back to the science of what makes marmots cool.
They have almost two different types of physiologies. They have their physiology that they have during the summer. They have the physiology that they have during the winter, their hibernation. So it's almost like two animals in one.
And those different physiologies are all because marmots hibernate.
Their body temperature drops, their metabolic rate drops, their breathing slows down. It could be as low as a couple of breaths per minute.
We're not talking hibernation like a bear, which is essentially a deep sleep. Marmots go underground and spend the winter in what's really a state of suspended animation.
And so imagine that you're a human and you hibernate. and you're going to go for, say, 6 months without eating, drinking, and you're essentially going to be maybe in your bed for that entire time. And you go in at 200 pounds, and at the end of that 6 months, you come out 100 pounds.
She has a lot of coccidian parasites that are in the protozoan stage right now.
Dr. Woods and his students at High Point University believe understanding how marmots survive hibernation could provide huge benefits for human health.
Before they enter hibernation, in the winter months, during the summer and spring, they feed, they gain weight, but then they're able to expel those parasites before they go into the cycle.
Blood and fecal samples are providing insights.
So what my job was during the summer was to figure out, well, what types of parasites could be in these groundhogs before they enter the hibernation period.
There's also the question of marmot blood.
We're thinking about how they can cool their body temperatures to almost freezing temperatures, and they can turn on their bodies like that, and they can reheat their body, and the blood is fine. So we would hope to be able to mirror that in the future with human blood. If we could maybe figure out how to refrigerate human blood, we could extend the shelf life.
So let me run through why marmots are great. So we've established that they're cute animals. A marmot can double, or in some cases, especially with a young, triple its mass in a couple months. They can lose half of its mass or more than half of its mass in hibernation, and they'll do that every year. Can you imagine if a human did that on a regular basis? And so what would normally go wrong? Well, blood would clot because it's not moving very much. When you have that much fat, when you have that much sugar in your system, it can damage tissue. I dare say a fair number of people would probably die if they were forced to do something like that. So it seems as if they have all of these issues and solutions for them. And so what does the marmot do that protects it from these things that we know can be very damaging to our tissues?
Couple of good logs over that way.
You could call these scientists detectives, trying to solve one of nature's mysteries.
Well, we just like to see, get some idea of what the adults are doing,
Those look like they might really be good logs.
what the populations are like. We like to try to find these salamanders in new places. We've found them in this area before, so we know they're here, but sometimes we like to come and just make sure they're still here.
They're searching for the Carolina Sandhills salamander. It's a newly discovered and rare salamander species.
Oh, this looks good. There's some sphagnum here. It's like opening Christmas presents. You just look under there and you find a surprise. And it might just be leaves, it might be a millipede, it might be an earthworm.
Or you might just find a salamander.
Yeah, they have spots along the sides.
North Carolina's diverse geography makes it home to the greatest variety of salamanders in the nation.
This is an Atlantic coast slimy salamander, this Plethodon chlorobrianus. The salamanders in the genus Plethodon are all terrestrial. They kind of defy the word amphibian. They don't use water to breed, but they have to stay moist and wet. But they undergo their whole life cycle on land.
Finding any salamander is exciting.
He left on cue.
But this is not the salamander researchers were looking for.
Ow! That's a thorn.
The Carolina Sandhills salamander is the state's 64th confirmed species.
Yes, they're fairly rare, even though this is where you look for them. You still can look and not find one.
The Carolina Sandhills salamander is only found in the Sandhills region. It lives in springs and along blackwater streams in what's left of the longleaf pine ecosystem. Longleaf pines used to stretch from southern Virginia to South Florida. Only about 3% of the ecosystem remains.
There's an earthworm.
Besides its limited range, what also makes the Carolina Sandhills salamander unique is the story of how it was identified.
And so it's quite exciting to be able to show that we are still able to find new species of vertebrates right here in North Carolina.
Our salamander tale starts in the wet lab of the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. The lab preserves multiple species of all of the animals found around the entire state for research purposes.
All these specimens are documentation of what we have here, where they occur now, and where they used to occur. We tried to document the range of species to the extent we possibly can.
Specimens of the Carolina Sandhills salamander were first collected in the 1960s.
We determined that there was this strange salamander that was a bit different in the sandhills. Set about trying to find out as much as we could about it. Where does it occur? What kind of stream? What kind of habitat? What do they look like? How long is the larval period? Where do they lay their eggs? Anything we could find out about them.
At first glance, scientists thought this new salamander looked like a two-lined salamander, but not exactly.
That form that they were finding in the Sandhills physiographic region of North Carolina was different in coloration and a little bit different in size, and certainly different in its natural history, the kinds of streams that it would occupy in the Sandhills, compared to other two-lined salamanders.
Compelling evidence, but not convincing. Species can differ in appearance simply because of geographic location.
Even if everything in the Sandhills did look differently, it still could just be an ecological variant and not a distinct species.
Enter genetics and DNA sequencing.
And we decided to take a fresh look at this salamander using modern genetic techniques that are now available to us. So by sequencing many genes of the sandhill salamander compared to its relatives in the two-lined salamander group, and then looking at the morphology, the size and shape of the animal, using our preserved museum specimens that go back all these decades, and comparing those to their other close relatives.
The result, drum roll please.
We have found that unusual looking two-lined salamander in the sandhills of North Carolina is indeed a new species of science.
That's what we're looking for. Carolina Sandhill salamander. That's a female. Their larval stage is at least a year, so she's got to be probably 2 or 3 years old.
And here is the Carolina Sandhills salamander in the wild. It's much more colorful.
It's best to handle amphibians with wet hands. There's something about the sandhills that makes it advantageous for this species to be reddish with reduced stripes, but the genetics confirm that it was distinct, and that's the exciting part. Using new tools to confirm something we've suspected all this time.
The science project that you support at PBS North Carolina isn't just limited to television. We have a large social media presence. We create digital content and blogs, and education is a vital part of the project. It's really key to everything we do. My friend and colleague Paula Edelson is here to tell you about that.
Thanks, Frank. My name is Paula Edelson, and I am a producer of educational content here at PBS North Carolina. And to add to what Frank just said, the science project is not only multi-platform, but multi-audience. So while Frank and his team create blogs and videos for general viewers, I produce online lessons for middle school students. This is definitely more fun than it sounds. And I'm hoping after you see a couple of samples that maybe you'll agree. All of our lessons and the resources that comprise them are posted on PBS Learning Media, by the way, which is a national platform. And thanks to GSK, they are completely free. This first resource kicks off a lesson plan called More Alike Than Different. It's what we call an inquiry animation, meaning that it poses a question for students to answer, or in educational speak, a problem for students to solve. Take a look.
Here comes Mark. He's handsome, smart, with all the swag. And then there's me. Ghost to him.
You are so obsessed with him. You are smart, and I think you're pretty.
Nah, I'm just basic.
Well, I think he is basic.
He's a boss man.
You think Mark is boss? He's just as regular as all of us.
And I'm Queen Bee.
And I'm Bruno Mars.
Wow, that's self-esteem for you. Let me tell you something. You two and Mark, genetically speaking, are 99.9% alike.
Yeah, okay, right.
Dream on.
Oh, and know what? You and that banana are 60% alike. And that chicken over there, 60% too.
Now you're really messing with us.
No, I'm dead serious.
Okay, and genetically speaking, this bleacher is almost my identical twin.
Alright, you're just gonna have to take my word for it.
Hey, you are serious. So, okay, how are we almost identical to the high school royalty over there?
Listen up. Gabby has asked us the question, so now you tell us. How are all humans more than 99% alike?
So now that students have heard the problem, they will go through the rest of the lesson, which includes 2 weeks' worth of activities, by the way, to gather the knowledge they need to solve it. The segment you're about to see is one of 3 animations students will view as they collect information.
Life is complicated. There are a ton of different parts doing a ton of different things. But those parts and things are all referencing a set of instructions that are unique to each organism. And those instructions are DNA. This little helix is a super special molecule that's found in the nucleus of every cell in a living organism. From the more complicated to the less complicated. DNA is a long-coiled set of basic letters that, when organized into sentences and chapters, make the instruction manual for an organism. All by itself, the DNA doesn't do much, but when chemicals and proteins in the cell read the DNA, they can tell other chemicals and proteins how to build whatever parts need building. And those parts, that come by the millions, are the building blocks that make the cells, tissues, and organs of each living thing. You've got to admit, that's a lot of potential for a single molecule.
You might not have noticed this, but that DNA animation clocked in at exactly 60 seconds. In addition to being one component in an online lesson plan, it's part of a collection of animations called, of all things, Science in 60 Seconds. Also completely free and available on the PBS Learning Media National platform. Not all the animations are exactly 1 minute long, but they do have the honor of winning 3 regional Emmy Awards, including one this year. We're really lucky to work with a supremely talented animator who can explain complex scientific topics in really entertaining ways. So I thought I'd show you another one of her segments. This one is on visible light, and it's from our online lesson on light waves.
Consider a rainbow. Although it may seem magical, what you're really seeing is an incredibly accurate visual representation of the electromagnetic spectrum. Each of those colors your eyes detect are an example of different wavelengths and different frequencies of energy being transferred from the sun, through the vacuum of space, refracting through the particles in the atmosphere, entering your eye, and being processed by your brain. And incredibly, the light we see is only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic energy traveling all around and even through us. Humans can only detect wavelengths between 700 nanometers and 400 nanometers with our naked eyes. These wavelengths are what we call visible light. All other wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation are invisible to us. We can't see it, even though it's there. So although a rainbow may seem magical, the 2 little energy detectors in your head deserve some credit too.